It is still a very active scene.
All right, let's just start out with the violence that not the protesters but the absolute violent arm of the military.
It is still a very active scene here in Camarillo. Let's get right to Chris Christie, live at Air 7. Chris, how's it looking right now?
Mark and Colleen, you're taking a live look at Laguna Road here in Camarillo, where you can see a bit of a standoff here, a skirmish line between ICE officials and other immigration authorities facing off with protesters at the Glass House marijuana farm here in Camarillo after a major raid took place earlier this afternoon. It happened about 3.5 hours ago, just wrapped up in the last few minutes, although you can still see a number of detainees right there next to that building. We've seen a number of U.S. Marshals buses picking up detainees and heading down the 101 freeway. It was a major raid, as you mentioned, and now a major confrontation as they encounter these protesters who have showed up to protest this immigration operation. We have seen two major skirmish lines separating two sets of protesters. At times there have been smoke grenades deployed right here along Laguna Road, and a lot of screaming and yelling, and even a couple of arrests as far as we can tell. You can see this is still an active situation, and again, a situation we're going to continue to keep an eye on. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Chris, thank you. Moments ago, federal agents were seen squaring off with protesters. You're looking at brand new video of tear gas being fired into the crowd of demonstrators.
Just a reminder, tear gas is a war crime. Tear gas is a war crime. A lot of people forget.
At one point, one of the protesters was detained after the tear gas was deployed. Several people were seen throwing rocks back at the agents. Eyewitness News reporter Leo Stomworth was caught in the middle of the chaos as the tear gas began to fly, and he is live near Camarillo with the very latest. Leo.
Hey, my friend, we're at Laguna Road and Wood near Camarillo. We are far removed from where the chaos was just less than an hour ago when tear gas canisters started flowing, and when less than lethal rounds started being deployed. My photographer got hit twice by less than lethal rounds, and he's got blood on one of his arms, and we just took off running with the entire crowd. It was absolutely chaotic. Here's more. Federal agents popped off tear gas and less than lethal rounds, causing protesters to scramble back. My Eyewitness News photographer and I in the middle of the panicked crowd rushing away. We got caught in the mayhem. And startled like everyone else, terrified of getting hit by a less than lethal round or overwhelmed by tear gas clogging the throat. Hurry up. Right now they're popping off tear gas canisters and folks are just running like crazy, and it's just chaos out here. I'm gonna have to get out of the way, folks. All right.
We were speaking our minds like we can as U.S. citizens. We have tear gas.
They don't care who's in front. They will shoot any reporter, they'll shoot any person, any individual that's stopping them from doing their job, but they will use full force to just completely break their spirit in the most mild case. Here is a article about tear gas. First off, it's important to understand what exactly tear gas is. Tear gas, also referred as a riot control agent, is a chemical compound that renders people temporarily unable to function by irritating the eyes, nose, mouth, and lungs. According to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, two most common riot control agents are chloroacetophenone. I'm gonna try to say this one. Chlorobenzylidine melonitrile. Fuck it. The CDC says, despite its name, tear gas actually comes in a powdery solid form. The agents CN and CS are deployed as tear gas as tear gas when the pressurized powder is mixed into a liquid formulation that is then released into the air as droplets or particles. Tear gas can cause excessive tearing, burning, or blurred vision, as well as runny nose or a burning sensation inside the nose. According to the CDC, it can also cause difficulty swallowing, chest tightness, coughing, shortness of breath, and a feeling of choking. Someone who has been exposed to tear gas will usually experience its effects for about 15 to 30 minutes after they have been removed from the source and cleaned off. The CDC says those who are exposed to riot control agents are close proximity or in closed spaces can experience long-term effects such as blindness, glaucoma, respiratory failure. It's so bad that they even banned it in the use of war. A few years after the end of World War I, world leaders convened in Switzerland and agreed to prohibit the use of asphyxiating, poisonous, and other gases, and of all analogous liquids, materials, or devices, as well as the use of bacteriological methods of warfare. According to Geneva Protocol 1925, the agreement banned the use of chemical and biological weapons in warfare, though it did not specify the gases exactly which were outlawed. The U.S. didn't ratify the agreement until 1975 under President Gerald Ford. When it did, it reserved the right to use riot control agents to control rioting prisoners of war among the other exceptions. So they're willing to use it on innocent people who are not in warfare, but ban it from warfare. It's absolutely backwards. Like, the amount of tear gas that is used is so mind-boggling, especially when the situations are not violent. The protests do not start out violent, they react violently. They react to the situation that the riot control agents commence. Many times they'll specifically point out one person from the crowd. They will point at them, and then all the other agents will aim and fire directly into the crowd or directly at a person. And then at the end of the day, these people will not be punished for their aggressive use. They will actually be praised. And the crazy thing is, people die not only from people not only die from like heart attacks and just extreme distress they get into, but they will literally get hit in the head with rubber bullets, and the rubber bullets are lethal. Less lethal, that term was created just to make you think that it's not deadly. It is absolutely deadly. If they hit you on the head, the temple, any location, it would either break a bone or just cause interior bleeding. Or just outright, like, just fracture your skull. They will fracture your skull.
Being pepper based bomb. I got hit with the paintball. This is not okay. We are expressing our First Amendment right, which is freedom of speech, freedom of action, freedom of the press. This is what we need to be doing as a people coming together against them, the tyranny. They are the evil.
They started throwing tear gas. They started shooting at us for no reason.
Shooting what, the rubber bullets?
Yes, the rubber bullets for no reason. We were just standing there, and all of a sudden they started shooting and throwing rubber bullets at us, tear gas, and it's been a few times with us just standing there.
Here, some people have needed treatment from paramedics.
Yes, and paramedics, fire department.
How do you feel about what's going on here today?
This is really sad to know that this is going on right now when supposedly it was supposed to change. We had slavery back in the days. This is insane, you know?
They've gassed us They did. They've gassed us about 3 times now. And so we're kind of a little bit leery and just wanting to run.
And here at Laguna and Wood, this is where some of the protesters have staged their protest right now after running away from all the chaos near where the federal agents are, about a half-mile down the road from us. And you can see right now they're blocking a military vehicle from coming through here. So again, this is where they're staging right now, and more of them are showing up in this area as this situation continues. Live here near Camarillo, Leo Starworth, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. I'll send it back to you.
Certainly a difficult situation, Leo. Thank you. We want you to see this video as well from Air 7 minutes ago. We saw a line of people led away from the Glass House Farms by federal agents. Before that, Air 7 spotted dozens of people lined up outside one of the farm's facilities, several federal agents standing in front of them. And then a little while later, several people were seen sitting under a semi-trailer with agents.
The craziest thing is that it's like 87 degrees in the middle of the desert. It's hot as hell. It's hot as hell out there on the concrete, surrounded by metal buildings. They're cooking up alive. Like, it's not even funny when you're out there. I was not out there, but just knowing California, it's hot.
Breaking news at 5, an immigration sweep
deployed for the operations.
And our team coverage begins with Desmond Shaw. He's live in SkyCal with the situation right now. Hi, Des.
Hi, Pat and Rutabay. So this is all along Laguna Road, well south of the 101 freeway here in Camarillo, out along the Oxnard Plain. So you see federal troops out here along with protesters on opposite sides. Let's show you what happened about an hour or so ago when things got pretty testy out here between the two. And as a SUV was trying to leave, protesters swarmed the SUV. One person was hanging onto the very front of it, but as the SUV sped away and jumped off, and it did not appear that they were injured. But tear gas was fired. Did not appear that and jumped off, and it did
fall
onto the very front of it, but as the SUV sped away jumped off, and it did not appear that they were injured, but tear gas was fired. There's been a few people that have been taken into custody. So this is off Laguna Road and Las Posas on the eastern side of where all this is happening. You can see quite a bit of heavy equipment.
Yeah, they will run.
Out
they will run people over. They don't care. You know, like the idea that people will throw their bodies in front of a car to stop them. They won't stop. They will not stop. They'll run you over and then blame you for defending people, for defending your fellow neighbors. It's so fucked up. Like, I'm laughing because it's outrageously evil. It's comically evil, cartoonishly evil. Whatever evil you can think of. They're hurting people to hurt other people.
Here, I'll show you some more, and basically what sparked all of this as well on this farm where we've seen a lot of people being detained, and it's not clear if they're all going to be arrested here. This is only a few. There were quite a few earlier. Some of them are wearing handcuffs, but others are not. We did just see a load of them that were wearing handcuffs being put in the back of a van and hauled away. So they're still waiting here to be processed. And now as I zoom out and over to the west off of Laguna and Wood, where there actually are 2 more situations involving the federal troops as well as protesters right here. Where you see this has been a pretty subdued situation. Haven't really seen anything getting too kinetic right there. But a much larger group gathering even farther to the west over at Laguna and Wood. So this is about 2 miles apart here where we're looking. Quite a few people here, and they have been kind of getting in officials' faces. They also have more military vehicles lined up over here. Or, well, excuse me, I guess they did, but they may have removed them. So a very fluid situation here, definitely getting testy at times. We'll see how long it goes on. It's also jamming up a few of the streets trying to get around Point Mugu and Channel Islands between there and the 101 freeway. Live in SkyCal overhead, I'm Desmond Shaw. Pat and Rutabay, back to you in the studio.
Desmond, thank you. And the situation grew more intense as the hours wore on.
Let's watch some like live footage from there, because thankfully this day and age, people are much more open to post what they see on the internet. All right. We'll come back to this one.
I want my daughter. My daughter. I'm not leaving my daughter. I'm not.
These are the effects of tear gas, by the way.
I want my daughter.
It's debilitating. And they'll use it on anyone. She,
I'm not leaving my daughter.
you know, she's a
I want
mom.
my daughter. Can I be with my daughter?
She's a mom, you know, she has a caring heart. And then you have these crazy ass people, these like crazy activists, showed up during this ice morning protest at farm in Camarillo. And they will just, they have some people have no heart. Yeah. Oh, this is like TikTok live stuff here.
We have breaking news out of Camarillo, where federal agents are conducting a major immigration operation at a farm. A crowd of protesters has been facing off with the agents, and they have been throwing.
By the way, this guy says flooding the state with illegal workers is fucking crazy. Without these hardworking individuals, they would not have their groceries so cheap. They wouldn't. They're always complaining about cheap or expensive groceries. But when we start removing these undocumented workers, the prices of food will skyrocket.
A crowd of protesters has been facing off with the agents, and
I'm pretty sure that this person doesn't even live in California. Like, you never hear people actually complain about immigrants unless they're out of state, or they're just straight up Republicans.
We have breaking news out of Camarillo, where federal agents are.
Se andan con, ¿cómo que se llama? Se llevan a la raza, ¿cómo que pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Se llevaron más de 50 gentes, ¿no? Más de 50 gente.
Never change it.
Se andan con, ¿cómo que se llama? Se llevan a la raza, ¿cómo que pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Se llevaron más de 50 gentes, ¿no? Más de 50 gente indocumentada. Yeah, if you want to. There's 4. There's how many helicopters?
There's 1, 2, 3.
No, yo no puedo respirar los que están adentro. Vale, verán. En cuando les tiran las bombas, creo que van a salir como gente detenida.
The craziest thing is that they will actually hold them like dogs.
Se andan como que se llama.
They'll hold them like dogs without care. I saw this thing, I don't know if it's even real. Apparently there was a Black Hawk there. And then you have this idiot who's like, it's a weed operation. So what? California's an illegal state to smoke weed in. And I don't know what this lady's wearing. I think it's a keffiyeh. I might be wrong. Actually, it might be a guy. I don't know who that is underneath. I don't give a fuck. They're a pig at the end of the day. That's all they are, and all they'll remember being.
Can you guys hear me? Camarillo.
These guys are so fat, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. Texas does need them, but here they are. Instead of Texas, where there's floods and there's people dying and bodies not even
That's
being found.
absolutely true.
They're more worried about the hard workers of here, you know.
They're willing to ruin people's lives than helping other people who are truly in need of help. Tear gas, by the way, again. Like that family there went to support the protests. Like they want these protests to stop. And they're being gassed. That gas is painful. It is terrible. Could cause long-term damages. It could cause glaucoma, asphyxiation. And this is news. This guy just got news about his mom being kidnapped by ICE. Federal immigration agents block Camarillo farm, clash with demonstrators. Federal immigration agents descended on a farm outside of Camarillo on July 10, blocking off a road outside the facility and clashing with protesters. Reporters flooded social media in the morning of federal agents arriving at a Glass House Farms facility at 645 Laguna Road. Video posted by 805 Immigration Coalition, a group that tracks immigration and customs enforcement activity, showed men in tactical gear blocking off a roadway. This raid marked one of Ventura County's largest since Trump administration has ratcheted up its deportation efforts across the state and country. Days later, a large caravan of military vehicles drove through Los Angeles MacArthur Park, sparking outrage from politicians. Yeah, so the MacArthur Park, it wasn't really a raid, it was just a show of force. What I really think is just practice. They're setting up for larger raids. They're setting up for larger, I don't want to say missions, because it's not a mission, it's just terror. They're scaring the civilians. It's fucked up. I'll cover that. I'll probably cover that too in a minute. It happened like 3 days ago. At the scene in the Ventura County yellow crime scene tape with U.S. Border Patrol markings stretched across Laguna Road. On one side stood what appeared to be masked and armed federal agents. On the other, crowd of more than 100 people masked, taunting the agents and yelling expletives. By the way, that's all they're doing. And this apparently entails. Am I saying that right? Entails. This apparently scares the officers enough to throw Geneva Convention banned weapons and lethal rounds. The face-off was tense. Agents fired projectiles into the crowd, striking several people and hitting at least one in the face. Agents lobbed canisters that emitted yellow or white gas. Protesters stomped several of canisters until they went out. Masked agents continued to deploy gas canisters throughout the afternoon. Some people in the crowd left. Others poured milk on their faces to counteract the gas. Counteract the gas, okay. Watch their pictures that they took. It's just in the field. Lined up like animals. Protesters come out in droves to the farm near Camarillo on July 10 after federal agents descended on the property. People react to chemical agents deployed during an immigration protest near Camarillo on July 10, 2025 after federal agents descended on the property. chemical agents again. A lot of people try to stomp them out. You need like a bunch of water if you're gonna use like, if you're gonna like drown it out, you're gonna want to use like a big bottle with like a lot of water. People will get active. A lot of people ain't scared. Alto al odio contra los inmigrantes. Like, stop the hate against immigrants. Kind of sick photo. I mean, it's kind of sick. Over 100 protesters. There's always more protesters than there are. Oh my god. Hit in the face. They don't care. They will aim at your face. They are taking cover. Because here we are. There is a guy. It seems like it'd be a paintball gun. Those fucking hurt. Have I ever been shot with them? No, but I know they leave welts the size of golf balls, depending where you hit. It's fucked up. And this is all they're doing. Like, looking at them, they're just flipping them off. These people are taking cover. Like I said, these are heavy. These will fuck you up. These are not fun, man. Water bottles. A lot of people use water to wash out the capsaicin that burns the eyes. This looks like something out of a horror movie, you know. We have some team members still on site. This was yesterday night, 10 hours ago, like 12 p.m. PST. Let's see, when was this updated? Yesterday afternoon. Started around 11 a.m. Ed Hat, the website that this is on, began receiving numerous reports from readers about what appeared to be large military presence at Foothill Road and Casitas Pass. The group blocking the intersection, as well as intersection of Foothill Road and SR 150, making a large section of roadway impassable. Witnesses reported a caravan of armored vehicles and unmarked police vehicles with masked men in plain clothes, some wearing ICE and police vests, and a group of people in military camouflage, all carrying weapons. Additional reports state helicopters have been seen over the area as well. It looks like they're going to war on our streets. They are. This is war. I think this is an actual weapon. You know, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not well equipped on the type of armaments that are used. Unmarked vehicles and an unidentified group of armed people targeted glass house farms at 5601 Casitas Pass Road in Carpinteria. The farm, owned by Graham Farrar, is one of the largest cannabis producers in the country. Video and photos from Ed Hat readers and 805 Immigrant Coalition showed people with hats and masks detailing workers at the cannabis farms and searching the area. A similar raid took place at the Glasshouse Farm's second grow house in Camarillo, located in the intersection of Laguna and Las Posas, appearing to be a targeted enforcement of a single business. Glasshouse Farms workers stated that group did not have legal warrants issued to conduct such an operation on private property, although this has yet to be confirmed. But they did state that 10 workers were detained and transported to an unknown location. Several witnesses stated that they saw some DEA identification for Federal Drug Enforcement Administration. Cannabis is legalized in the state of California, but on federal level, cannabis remains illegal. But so much for states' rights. That's the thing, like, these people, when I mean these people, I mean like the Republican congressmen, the Republican senators, and even the Republican citizens. They want states' rights. They want states to make their own ideas, make their own calls, and make sure that states have their own freedom. But when a place like California legalizes cannabis, it's too much, apparently. So much for state rights. And I feel like I should talk about that cannabis is on the same level as heroin and cocaine. I should like cover the how and why that is. Maybe later. It's a big conversation. It's very hard to make a distinction between the agencies. There are ICE, police, DEA, military, contractors. Who are these guys? A protester stated.
Let me ask you one thing. Are these warrants? Are they really criminals? Are these really criminals? I know some of your families probably here illegal too.
I love the conversations that they have. So this is the second location of Carpinteria. So there's two raids that went on at the same time. There's one in the Carpinteria, which is this one, Foothill Road and Las Casitas, past Boulevard. And not that far is the Camarillo. I think it's like Laguna Road and Woods Road, something like that. Both happened at the same time. And it was a just massive ice raid. When we say massive, it's massive. Protests erupted in response to raids, smoke, and flashbangs used. I think we already covered the... There we go. A video shared with Ed Hat shows a group of protesters standing in front of a line of armed agents and National Guard members. The protesters raised their hands and chanted peaceful protest. When a series of shots were heard, the crowd dispersed amid screams and crying as smoke filled the area. There did not appear to be any physical threat to the agents or National Guard. As always, it's always the police, the federal agents who commence the violence. And even if, let's say a protester threw, I don't know, something that did hurt the federal agents, let's understand that the violence was already commenced before the protest even start. So the violence commenced before the protesters even arrived. Because there's kidnappings on the street. So the ICE agents will come in take people illegally without warrants, when then just completely continue without due process. As we've seen, they've taken people to Alligator Alcatraz who have green cards, who have everything, they're complete US citizens, but yet they're still taken away to meet the quota. Because they're brown, which honestly is the biggest factor in all of it, to cause terror, and to completely waste California's budget. Because California is, again, one of the largest economies in the United States. California itself is number 4 on the world economic list. Am I saying that correctly? I don't know. But this is very expensive to not only the federal government, but also to the state of California. There's a video of someone breaking down the numbers. I have to find that because it's very... It kind of clears up how big these raids are. From the commencement of the first ice raids that started under the Trump administration. They're very violent. They remove your civil rights, and they pretty much strip you from your humanity. And now, as I said before, people do not like the violence. People respond to violence with violence. We have situations in Texas where people are shooting Customs and Border Patrols not once, but I believe up to 5 times. I called it before, and I'll say it again.
It appears
someone is gonna do it, and someone has done it. Someone has used a gun against the agents.
A protester fired some kind of gun at federal agents. This happened this afternoon. It was a really chaotic scene at the time. A lot of smoke was being launched at the protesters, and again, it appears a protest.
And honestly, I don't hate them. I understand. I'm not surprised. There's supposed to be an award going on to find them, but if you know who it is, do not. I'm telling you, do not do it, because the same thing happened to allegedly, Mario, bro. Mr. Mangione. Much respect to him. It's alleged that he did it. And someone turned him in and didn't even get the money. This person specifically used his Second Amendment right. There's a tyrannical government stomping on people's civil rights. And how else are you supposed to respond to violent protest? How else are you supposed to react when the government doesn't hear your cries? How are you supposed to react in these situations? Now, this is not a call to violence. I legally can't have a call to violence. All right? I'm not trying to go to jail. I'm just not surprised that we're getting to these situations. you know, I don't know what else to say except it's gonna get worse. It is 100% going to get worse. Like I said before, the bill is going to increase the amount of ICE agents we see. Those ICE agents or the ICE raids will become much more frequent. And we don't really see an end in sight, which is why, us as people, if you're for the immigrants, you have to start a coalition. Join your local organizational groups. Do what you can, do what you need to do. If you haven't, especially. Now, I heard there's some controversies with the DSA. I don't know them specifically. I just know there's some people that don't like them. But that's part of all, political parties. But I guess I personally would join the DSA. I haven't heard any arguments against it, really. If you do, let me know. If you do have, concerns about the DSA, I would like to know. You tell me on Instagram, tell me on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, in the comments. And I think I'm kind of burnt out. Not burnt out, but I think it's time to move on. Like I said before, they've been taking about, I think, 10 people. One was for sure arrested from the protesters. This is just the beginning. Now, I'm not saying, be doomful. I'm not saying the future is bleak. The future is not bleak. As long as there's people who are willing to stand up and speak their mind, there's always a chance. There's always a way forward. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Be positive. Be hopeful. And just keep fighting. Now, I want to cover this time the Texas floods. I did it like 2 days ago, but I want to see updates. Apparently, Christy Nome fires